Okay, so let's talk about the pain that could be experiencing kind of like really at the bottom and then could radiate, especially when it comes to reaching across the body and going backwards. I often find that, especially when it comes to tight shoulders, the rotator cuff itself can actually be influenced, but specifically we're looking at the infraspinatus, which is going to be the lower half of your shoulder blade. If you're having tension in that area, if you were to have pressed it, what you might feel is a little bit of tenderness that might kind of radiate down here. And the reality is that when it comes to the rotator cuff muscles, it's really based upon scapular position. And the thing is the fact that if we're spending the majority of our day forward like this, it actually puts a fair amount of stretch and tension on our rotator cuff muscles, which makes them weak, can increase the amount of stress, can increase the likelihood of fraying and tearing, especially as we age. And so a couple different ways to help give yourself relief, and one, making that infraspinatus feel a little bit better, but also reducing the amount of stress in that area, is going to be a couple different things. We have rolling out the upper trap. You're going to take a lacrosse ball, put it right here, press into a wall, and you can actually intensify that by putting your hand behind your back. And you don't have to reach super high. You just want to be able to get it so that you can internally rotate and give yourself a nice little press right there. So again, lacrosse ball up against here, about 90 seconds per side. The next area that you can actually address is going to be at the front. So we have the pec roll out. The thing is, it's going to be halfway between your nipple and your shoulder. We're going to be facing right there. When you take that lacrosse ball, you're going to put it up against the wall. You can actually put your hand out to the side. You don't want it super stretched out because you want to get pretty deep. In fact, you can actually put your hand behind your back, so that way you can get nice and deep into your pec minor. The third piece that you can actually do is going to be taking that lacrosse ball, and you are going to be finding your shoulder blade. Once you find your shoulder blade, you can tell that your shoulder blade, because if you move your arm, it kind of slides underneath your hand. There's going to be a bony ridge right here, and that's going to influence or identify that you have the supraspinatus, which is just north of that bony ridge. Or you go south of that bony ridge, and that area right there, it's a fan-like muscle, and that is your infraspinatus. You can take a lacrosse ball, place it right underneath that border, and sandwich that between you and a wall, and you can run up and down, and you can actually reach across to actually expose that infraspinatus a little bit more, and you should feel really deep tender. And do this on both sides so you can actually feel the difference. So then that way you can identify, okay, is one a little bit more funkier than the other? So you have the soft tissue work, it's supposed to free up the scapula. The last piece is going to be working on your lower trap. So we're going to be placing that lacrosse ball not on your shoulder blade, but it's going to be between your shoulder blade and your spine. And this is actually where you're going to be laying on your back. So spine right here, shoulder blade space right here. And then what you're going to do is you want to give that shoulder blade an opportunity to glide, specifically up and down. We want it to rotate. So as you lay down on your back, you're gonna, we'll kind of say like at the level of your shoulder blade, maybe a little bit lower. You wanna be able to reach your hand all the way up, and that shoulder should be moving, and that shoulder blade should be gliding, and you might feel a couple tender spots. Now, from there, every portion of that body, we're looking at about 90 seconds. From there, you wanna be able to see if I raise my arm up, or if I reach my arm across the side, is my shoulder blade moving properly? It's really easy for us to actually keep those shoulder blades back, and as a result, we only have motion where our arm meets our shoulder blade. But the reality is that when we are lifting our arm and reaching across, we want those shoulder blades to open and close, and we also want them to kind of wrap around. So when you are reaching across, it's not just shoulder blade back trying to reach because I can't go very far. It's being able to take that shoulder blade and really reaching it across, giving you that opportunity for that shoulder blade to move. Now, this was a pretty long explanation, but hopefully it just gives you a little bit more of an idea on what you can do and see how it goes.